Hey, welcome to another Yesshift News Desk edition. I'm Steven. My dad Dan is taking care of some business related stuff, but there was quite a lot to talk about as today we got the news of, well, the official announcement of the upcoming Yes Fragile 2025 tour. And there are also some other things to talk about, like the upcoming exo-X-xeno album, Luminous Voyage, and other bits and whatnot. So, yeah, there's just so much to talk about, and I just need to come on and talk about it. So it looks like I am for sure audible. So we'll get this show on the road. Now, first off, June is, Alan White's birth month. It'll be his birthday this weekend. And I wanted to share this post that Jay Shellen did in his honor back on May 26th. So this would have been on the anniversary of Alan's passing. It's been 3 years since he's been gone. So this photo is from the Yes 50 tour, and you see the two of them sitting there. And Jay, such a good job helping Alan during those tours, and Alan's such a huge part of the Yes discography. And Jay sums him up pretty well in this post, which just so happened to be on Memorial Day this year. He said, bittersweet, emotional always, but giving effort and emphasis on the sweet, great memories made and remembered, never forgotten, are good for all our souls. My memories of the most influential and generous man whose example not only on his instrument, but also in the way he carried himself, treated others, spoke true, with wisdom and humor and love. You filled my heart, Alan, and I am forever grateful. So that was a very heartwarming post right there. And we're never gonna forget Alan. He'll be a huge part of the Yes music we listen to for as long as we're able to listen to it. You know, um, and this is another photo that was part of that post. So you see Alan, Gigi, and Jay, and yeah, Alan's such a nice guy. And of course, there's that documentary that's still in the works from One Take LLC, which will be about Alan and feature performances from that Alan White tribute show a few years back. So, very curious to see how that comes out. But yeah, so I just figured I'd share that. And Dad plans on recording his play along to some Yes music, which of course features Alan, and it'll be submitted for the Play for Chris 11 tribute, which MiguelBase.com has all the info about. We had Miguel on the show not too long ago to talk about that. The deadline is June 15th, so if you have something to submit as a tribute to Chris or Chris and Alan or Chris, Alan, and Peter, any of these guys, then go ahead and submit to miguelbase.com/play for Chris 11. And I might contribute something. I'll have to see what's doable on my end. But yeah, so um, we'll see what ends up happening. But again, you gotta remember these guys, even though they're not with us on this earth. So June is also the birth month of Patrick Moraz. It's actually later this month will be his birthday. And he took part in this project called exo-X-xeno, which was founded by guitarist and vocalist Craig Maher. And this has been in the works for maybe a couple of years, but it's finally coming out June 19th, the album Luminous Voyage. And Patrick, it sounds great on this album. And, he sounds very much like himself. And it's got not only Patrick, but also Jay Shellen and Billy Sherwood on bass. And I've been in contact with Craig. We're going to have him on the show here on Yesshift on July 19th, noon Pacific time. That is a Saturday. And he'll be talking all about this album. But let me tell you, this album, you got to listen to it. It's proggy, and it also has a sort of stadium rock type feel. Craig's singing kind of reminds me of some stadium rock stuff, that whole genre. So I think this is something that people will really enjoy. That'll be worth the wait. And Mayor Applebaum worked on the mixing of it. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share the website where you can order this. So this would be so I'm going to sound it out and then I'm going to properly spell it out. So exo-X-xeno.com, but you would type it out as exo-x-xeno.com. Also, kind of ironic that has the word no in it, but features a few musicians who've been in Yes. So that's kind of funny. I wonder if there's probably a coincidence there, but yeah, we'll have to ask Craig about the name and the origins of that when we have him on the show. But yeah, I'll go ahead and share the site. And there's also a Bandcamp page. Share screen and make sure I have the right tab. Okay, so here it is. Got that logo there, and you can sample the 7 tracks that are on here. You got samples that are no longer than a minute and a half. You got The Event Horizon, Vitruvian Man, At the Water's Edge, Onward Love, Reaching for Beyond, Into the Night, and Live Life. And I have 2 devices open, so that's why I'm looking over here. So it's just helpful for me. And this album, so the opening track, The Event Horizon, is an instrumental that really ramps things up, and you pay attention to the drumming right away. Vitruvian Man, the overall gravitas of it, funny enough, kind of reminds me of Asia and their overall feel. The vocals from Craig come in with a stadium rock feel, and then it transitions midway into a more fantastical feel that's very Patrick Moraz and whimsical. Again, so great to have him and these guys on this album. At the Water's Edge, the beginning kind of reminds me of Virgil and Steve Howe's sound, and it's kind of a gentle instrumental transitional track. Onward Love gets back to that stadium rock feel, and it's very heartfelt. Reaching for Beyond has electric sounding vocal harmonies that feel like what I associate with Billy Sherwood and his discography. Then you got Into the Night, another pretty good track. You get the repeating of the title for good measure, and then Live Life is a very affirming ending to this whole concept album. So this is something that you'll want to order. There's actually a store tab here on the site, and I'll go ahead and show you the different formats. So there's a digital download for the songs Onward Love and Reaching for Beyond, the singles on the album, I suppose you could say. Luminous Voyage, the album, it comes in a couple different vinyl editions. This one showcases the blue artwork titled Flight, and this other one showcases the more reddish one titled Infinity. You got the decal, which is a 4x4. click on these vinyl pics so that you can get a bigger view. So I think that looks really cool. And there's a red one. Right. So go to exo-X-xeno.com and go ahead and order this album. And very excited to have Craig on the show next month. We've been in communication, and that'll be really cool. All right. So I should also mention that the other day was Tony Levin's birthday. Tony Levin was part of ABWH, and then he was on the Union album. I saw an ad for upcoming shows of his band Stickmen, and I'll talk a little bit more about that and something else later in the show, probably toward the end. I feel like I should probably get to the main. I guess you could say the main topic of this, since it's Yes related and it's the news that broke today. So the Fragile 2025 tour, and I'll go ahead and share the Yes World announcement tab for this. So yesworld.com, and there had been rumblings of this the past week or so. People had been finding these venue sites that show that it's going to be Fragile, and it has this graphic, which I'll go ahead and show as I share this tab. Okay, so this is on yesworld.com. Howe, Downs, Davison, Sherwood, Shellen. I'm not sure how they figure out the order of that. I would think alphabetically would be the way to go, but I think this is in order of how recently each have joined or rejoined the band. So yeah, I think that's how they decide that order. So the Fragile Tour 2025, performing Fragile in its entirety plus classic cuts, featuring Roger Dean's Fine Art Gallery. The US tour gets underway October 1st, and they mentioned the lineup. Let's see, set for this fall in the US. This Evening with Yes Trek launches October 1st in Wallingford, Connecticut, and wraps November 16th in Reno, Nevada. Tickets go on sale June 13th. See below for ticketing information. And yeah, I'll get to that. At these shows, the progressive rock titans will perform their iconic Fragile album in its entirety, along with classic cuts from their legendary body of work. The multi-platinum album features their signature songs Roundabout, Long Distance Runaround, and Heart of the Sunrise. Fragile, the band's fourth album, was released in the UK in November 1971 and in the US in January 1972. The Fragile Tour is regarded as a key moment in Yes's history. It's when the band became a headline act in the US. Yeah, that's interesting to think about, because I think when they toured for the Yes album, they had other bands with them, either Iron Butterfly or Jethro Tull, or maybe both. I don't remember if they were both in the US or well. I'm sure Forgotten Yesterdays has all that info. But continuing reading this announcement, at these shows, the prog rock titans will oh, I already read that part. Okay, so here's a quote from Steve Howe. All the band's albums had a unique feel and approach. After the Yes album, so many things came together, with co-producer Eddie Offord steering the proceedings. While the band focused on only 4 main songs with full arrangements, each of us wrote and designed a solo piece, which was Bill Bruford's great idea. It's fairly oddball, but we were at the height of our creativity, determined for success. It gave us confidence further than our own in-stock belief. We'd crafted this unusual but noticeable musical twist to rock and what later became prog. Fragile, and end quote. Fragile also marks the band's first album to be designed by Roger Dean. He would also design many of Yes's future album covers, the band's logo, and live stage sets. This striking union of music and design is key in how Yes's sound and vision would be perceived. It also underlined how important artistic visuals were becoming in the rock world. On the Fragile Tour 2025, Yes will perform in front of a video wall featuring AI treatment of Dean's art, bringing Yes's art into the 2020s. Roger Dean art will be available in the merch area at all of the shows. And then it ends with a quote from Steve Howe saying, Roger was and is quintessential to the look of Yes. He's still creating great paintings and design. He has no competition. And yeah, like I know, there's a lot that's been said about AI, but with Roger Dean, the artist involved in this, they're using his pieces here. And so, I'm sure they've thought this out. But the Fragile tour dates, October 1st, 2025. And then, let's see, I see it's New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. There's a Washington, D.C. date, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, a couple Illinois dates, a couple Wisconsin dates, Missouri, let's see, Omaha, Denver, Colorado, Mesa, Arizona. I wonder how far that is from Dad. The Inglewood, California YouTube Theater. I've never heard of the YouTube Theater, but that might be where I end up seeing them. And then they're in Alpine, California, and then Reno, Nevada. But yeah, when the announcement came out and I shared the tour dates on our page, someone pointed out that the Inglewood show is the same night as a Steve Hackett show in LA. And so, right away I looked up Steve Hackett's tour dates, and it turns out he's playing in LA for 2 nights. So I'll be able to go the second night and see Yes on the 13th. So I could see Yes on the 13th and then Steve Hackett on the 14th, and it'll be a nice back-to-back thing for me. And there are also VIP packages. So the Fragile behind the scenes VIP experience. And yeah, I see that there are comments. I'll get to those in a moment. So the VIP experience includes premium reserved ticket in the first 6 rows. And there's an asterisk saying seat location may vary per venue. Exclusive access to behind the scenes tour led by your VIP host. Photo opportunities on stage where Yes will perform a short time later. Photo op in front of Yes VIP backdrop to commemorate your evening. Exclusive Yes foil poster designed by Roger Dean with enhanced augmented reality activation. Exclusive VIP merchandise, which includes a t-shirt, curated collectible item, sterling silver Yes pendant, commemorative laminate and lanyard, dedicated VIP check-in area, on-site VIP host, early access to merchandise shopping where applicable. And there's also a roundabout to merchandise package, which includes a premium reserve ticket, the foil poster designed by Roger Dean, the VIP merch t-shirt and Yes pendant, commemorative laminate and lanyard, and early access to merchandise shopping where applicable. So some of the features of the Fragile VIP experience. And yeah, so I'll get to the comments right here. Let's see. I see Joel Perard says, I just wish they would focus on newer material, more than one freaking song. Yeah, I think that's the general consensus among Yes fans who, are still following Yes. You still get the occasional people who are like, oh, this is not my Yes type thing. And it's like, just move on. Just don't comment if you're not gonna bother supporting them, but um yeah, like the general vibe I'm seeing, which and that I feel as well, is that I'm glad that they're still performing and that they're still able to perform and they're doing what makes them happy. But it would be nice if they would change it up, perform more of the new songs. We got two studio albums in the last few years, The Quest, A Mirror to the Sky, and only a couple tracks from each of those albums have been played live. And the focus on these tours tends to be on the classic stuff. And Fragile, when they started the album series in the early 2010s, it seemed like an interesting idea to me, playing from start to finish. And we got tracks that would never be played live otherwise, like Adventure and stuff from Drama, like Run Through the Light. And the Topographic Drama tour was cool. But Fragile, they did Fragile in 2014 and 2016. Kind of around the time Heaven and Earth came out, and there's that Yahoo webcast that I thought was pretty good. And I thought that broadcast was, it showcased the quirkiness of the album in a good way. And I was not able to see Yes perform Fragile at the time. I was pretty busy with college and getting ready for college and stuff. So seeing them play it in person would be a first for me. But if this weren't happening, I would still feel like I got my fill from watching that Yahoo broadcast all those years ago. And look, I know that when I see the concert, I will feel energized hearing, Heart of the Sunrise and South Side of the Sky, in person again, even though I've seen them in person over and over. And, even Roundabout, or I've seen All Good People, those are the most overplayed Yes songs, but I still feel, the energy of them when they are played. But all that being said, I know that I'll have a fun time seeing the show, but I do wish that they would go with more obscure stuff. Like I see in the comments, Meadowlander asking, why do you think they're avoiding a relayer event? So I remember, they were planning to do it in 2020, perform relayer, but then, of course, the pandemic happened and it got delayed, and then it got delayed for a couple other reasons, I think, until eventually, at some point, Steve Howe said, we've overcooked the idea, so we're not going to try relayer. And, I think one of those times it was even replaced by Close to the Edge for the 50th anniversary. So I feel like maybe they feel like they can't do it the best justice, or I don't know. Like, some people speculate that maybe Sound Chaser is tricky, and again, like, it's an incredible song. Bless Patrick for his contributions to the Relayer album. And I saw them play Gates of Delirium on the Royal Affair tour, and I thought it went pretty well. So yeah, and I made my peace with it. I don't expect them to play Relayer at all anytime soon, if ever, which is unfortunate because lots of people were really looking forward to that. And I think at this point they've run out of albums that they would maybe, classic albums that they would think are maybe worth doing the album series treatment. Steve Howe has mixed feelings about Tormato. There's some stuff he's not happy about on there, so they wouldn't play the full album, but they've played selections here and there. The first two Yes albums, Yes and Time and a Word, those would be great to perform live from start to finish, but I don't know how into the idea they are. When people think of Yes, I guess the classic period of Yes. Yeah, I think they tend to think of the Yes album through going for the one as the sweet spot. And of course, Yes themselves have thrown drama into the album series, and 90125 is a huge hit, but they're not gonna play it because they were not none of them were involved in 90125. So they might not feel too compelled to try, although I'm sure that a couple of the current band members would probably love to play a couple of tracks from 90125, like Changes or something like that. But yeah, I think they've run out of classic, you know, I guess popular classic Yes albums that they would want to change up. And so now they've kind of gone in a circle. They've done Close to the Edge more than once, and now Fragile is, this is another round of Fragile. Um, and let's see, I had another thought. Yeah, I don't know. I just wish that they would try deeper cuts. And I remember what the thought was. So this got me wondering, when it comes to Yes attendance, what proportion of the audience is like the diehard deep cut fans? What proportion is the more casual listeners who've only listened to the big classics like Fragile or Close to the Edge and would maybe be drawn into the advertising to see those albums? And what percent is just, casual people with vague awareness of Yes and the lineups and stuff who are like, oh, Fragile, that's again, maybe they only know Roundabout or something. Like, I don't know, like, is the marketing more for the more casual music goers? Is that what's going on? Is it maybe what would get more venues? Like, if they're like, oh, Fragile, people love that album, let's advertise the heck out of that. Whereas casual music listeners might not be as familiar with The Quest or Mirror to the Sky or some of the more obscure albums. So I don't know, like, is it a popularity thing? Is it a marketing thing? I really can only speculate. I remember when I saw Yes on the Close to the Edge 50th anniversary tour, I overheard someone ask about the lineup, and they were not knee deep into the history, and so it's really strange. So I really wonder what the percentages are like with the Yes concert going audiences, and if maybe that has something to do with it. I see John C tuning in saying, I hope they do a Minnesota show. So yeah, I don't know. I do wish it would change it up, but what can you do? But that being said, I know I'll enjoy the music, and I'll make the most of it. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. But I'm very much looking forward to the new music that they're working on. I remember reading in a couple places that they might be uh, that the next album might come out early next year. I think that's what's going on. I don't know for sure, but always looking forward to the new music. But my advice would be, okay, if you're going to showcase the classics, that's all well and good, but show how proud you are of the new music as well. I love that music. I love what you guys did with that new music. So have a good mix of old and new, 50-50 if you can. Carl Coppage says, is this a headliner tour or a shared headliner like the Deep Purple tour? It does not look like a shared headliner. So yeah, I think they're main billing again. And Carl sent me some Yes memorabilia, tour books and a couple other books and things. So again, thanks for sending that to me, Carl. Still gotta make my way through all that. Yeah, I've just been very busy, but really appreciate it. But anyway, so I understand what people are feeling, but I'm just gonna make the most of it. You know, they're still touring, they're still around. Um, yeah, I just read another comment from John. Whole fragile, been there, done that. Yeah. Um, okay. So on that note, I guess I'll move on to Roger Dean, some of what he's been posting about. So very appropriately today, Roger has shared a post about Fragile, and let me see if I can find this picture. He had an interesting story about this. Okay, is it this one? Um, okay, there we go. So that's Roger Dean with the Fragile painting. And what he said about this kind of surprised me. So I'll go ahead and pull up the story on my end. He says, Fragile without the space arc. This is a repainting of Fragile, originally created for the Steven Wilson remix. It's been many, many years since I last saw the original Fragile painting, which was unfortunately stolen from my studio storage place a long time ago. Repainting it felt like the right thing to do. I had the piece out recently because I was interviewed by a Japanese television company for a program about album covers. They spoke to me about Fragile, how it came about, and a number of other stories related to it. It was a fun experience. One thing that really fascinated me during the interview was that they had a version of the Fragile cover without the space arc. I had never seen that before, and they asked if I had created it as a special edition. I told them no, I didn't even know it existed. But it's entirely possible those versions are out there, because the space arc in the original wasn't part of the main painting. It was drawn separately and added during the printing process, a tricky technique called stripping it in, which involved carefully burning it in. It was a very delicate and difficult task to make everything match. These days, it's all much easier with Photoshop. That's how the space arc was added to this repainting. Over the years, Fragile has been revisited a few times, including a version I did in oranges and grays to match the escape painting, with little segments drifting through space. And now, with the upcoming Yes tour using Fragile as a theme, it seems the painting is in the air once again. Yeah. Oh, I see in the comments John saying do Fragile backwards. Yeah, that would be something that they did Close to the Edge in reverse back in early mid 2010s, but yeah, actually, something that they didn't do when they played Fragile, at least in 2014 tour, was they didn't do the We Have Heaven reprise after Harvest Sunrise. So maybe this is their chance to include that again. I don't know. But okay, so there's been some other cool Roger Dean posts. There's one where he talked about the Close to the Edge Super Deluxe Edition packaging and that whole thing of having the Yes logo, both the painting on the inside. He also posted about Yes logo prints and some different bowls, like Dragon Bowls with his paintings in them. He also posted a video about The Perfect Game, the story of Tetris, a book by Hank Rogers. And of course, Roger Dean has done the Tetris logo before, and he did the lettering on this book, in his Roger Dean style. And he says that there will be a live painting session at Trading Boundaries on June 20th, and that he's been hearing rumors there might be a surprise. Yeah, it really makes one wonder what that surprise could be. But yeah, in the video where he talked about this, he said he might finish this painting, and he showed the painting that was beside him. So I'll try to show that here. And you gotta wonder, what is this painting for? Could it be for the next Yes album, or is it for something else? But it's this painting with blue rocks in the background. I wonder if this is part of something, or it actually reminds me of The Quest, the rocks on there. So I wonder if maybe it's part of that or part of that same world. But yeah, he says I might finish this painting. So I wonder if this is a background to something, if he's going to add stuff in the foreground. So I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But on the note of Yes art and Yes iconography and that whole style, recently Oliver Wakeman posted about these wooden butterflies he came across. He says, visited Sudalay Castle and saw these amazing wooden butterflies in the trees. They look like something from a Yes album sleeve or stage set. Also seem to be painted by someone very inspired by Roger Dean. So I'll try to show these photos and then let you decide. Like, do these look Yes or Roger Dean influenced or what? Let me just share those tabs. Okay, so you got this wooden butterfly right here. The black spots definitely remind me of Roger Dean, some of the stuff he's done. And then you've got this other one here. Yeah, this one's a bit smaller, the image. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Is perhaps Roger Dean inspired? I see John chiming in again, saying start with Heart of the Sunrise first and with Roundabout. Yeah, we're so used to Roundabout being the closing number anyway, so why not, I guess. All right, let's see. What else do we have on the news list? So Rick Wakeman has continued releasing episodes of his podcast, and now and again he's been talking about how there should be documentaries about studios from the old days, especially now that so few people who worked in them are in those days are around. And that'd be really cool, seeing documentaries focused on studios and working in studios. They're, back in the day, it wasn't so easy. Like, not everyone had a cell phone and could just video record everything. So yeah, like something like that would be really cool to see. And on the most recent episode, he talked about how a King Arthur documentary would be cool. He made his King Arthur album and toured it. He said it could be a Rick-umentary. And he also talked about his friendship with Keith Emerson, which is really nice. People thought that they were huge rivals, but they were really good friends. John says, or celebrate 25th anniversary of Masterworks, change the set list a bit. Yeah, that would be, Ritual, Gates, Close to the Edge. Like, well, I guess John and the Band Geeks did that within the last couple of years, didn't they? But yeah, that kind of is a mind blower that Masterworks was 25 years ago, that tour. But looking at Rick Wakeman's ramblings for June 2025, he returned from the second leg of a short European tour of the final one-man shows. He says Holland was amazing and possibly one of the best organized tours I've ever seen. Great pianos everywhere, great venues, great audiences, and great food too. It was nice to catch up with old friends, and it was a shame that there were only 4 shows. Let me just scroll and see if there's anything. Let's see. I mentioned the podcasts. He's going to record more of his podcasts this month. Let's see. The new album, Melancholia, has been mastered and I have a meeting on the 20th to find out the release date. 2 radio specials will be announced in next month's Ramblings, and whilst on the subject of recordings, I'm really pleased to announce that in August, I start recording Return to the Red Planet with Adam Faulkner on drums, Dave Calhoun on guitars, Lee Pomeroy on bass, and 2 vocal pieces on the album will be sung by Molly Marriott. Recording will be at a residential studio, so it will be great, good old-fashioned recording with musicians all in the same room. That's right, we're going back in order to move forward. And it mentions a reception being held for Animals Asia. And on the 29th, Haley Sanderson and Rick are doing a concert in aid of Saving Strays at the Old Granary, where they'll be playing the entire set that's planned for the July American tour. Tickets sold out in 24 hours, which is really nice, especially for the dogs. All right, so yeah, Rick, ever busy. I see in the comments Alone Same saying Holland, amazing food. Rick would know. Yeah. Okay, so what else do we have on this list of news? So over on YouTube, Classic Rock Media Archive, that's a YouTube channel, posted a couple, restored footage of, Yes concerts. So one of them was live in New Haven, Connecticut, August 9th, 1977. This is 8mm film. This had bits of Firebird Suite, Parallels, I've Seen All Good People, Close to the Edge, and Wondrous Stories. And the other one was live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, March 12th, 1974. Again, this is Super 8 film, and it included bits of Firebird Suite, Siberian True, Close to the Edge, and Ritual. And these are 2 to 3 minutes long, something like that. So not super substantial, but still, like, footage from that era is hard to come by, so it's cool when these resurface. And speaking of the Firebird Suite, I've noticed that in trailer for the new Wes Anderson movie, The Phoenician Scheme, the Firebird Suite is in that. I see John commenting again saying July US tour by Rick. Yeah, that's what he said. Let me just actually, I'll pull up the tour dates and look at those real quick. So it looks like he's touring the East Coast from July 18th to July 31st, starting in Virginia and ending in Pennsylvania. There are a few other states in between. So yeah, go to rwcc.com/live for all that info. And okay, so another thing, yes, the early broadcasts, or the early TV broadcasts. This is over at Music Glue, and the Music Glue website, and it says, let me pull up the cover for this. See, I have it here. Okay, there we go. So it has this grid that has the original Yes logo, in different colors and whatnot. So the track list, I pretty much guessed what this was just from looking at the track list. So the track listing is No Opportunity Necessary, No Experience Needed, Looking Around, Survival, Time and a Word, Yours Is No Disgrace, All Good People, Takes 1, 2, and 3, Long Distance, and then the rest of this lists Long Distance Runaround Part 1, I've Seen All Good People, Perpetual Change, The Fish, Long Distance Runaround Part 2, Heart of the Sunrise, Long Distance Runaround Part 3, Mood for a Day, and Yours Is No Disgrace. But those are, it sounds like those are just the Yes Sounding Out documentary. Like it seems like this includes, this begins with stuff that was on the Lost Broadcasts video, which, fun fact, back when the Lost Broadcasts DVD was first advertised with that miming of time and a word, the title in the corner said "From a Time Beyond and Before," which I think would have been a better title for that set. Oh, because the Lost Broadcast feels like a more generic title, but maybe they figured, well, we don't have Beyond and Before on this, so it might be kind of weird. But to that, I say, why not? Why could they not include the footage of that Beyond and Before performance? Like, were they not able to clean that up? But anyway, so yeah, the first few tracks, or several tracks on this, are from the Melissa Cladden Live's Beat Club stuff that ended up on the Lost Broadcasts DVD. And then that's followed by the Sounding Out documentary from the looks of it. And then the Rock of the 70s DVD material, which includes a Time and a Word video promos. So those would be Astral Traveler, Everyday's, Then, and No Opportunity Necessary, No Experience Needed. Coming, I guess, bookending with No Opportunity. I don't know why they didn't put it in chronological order. Well, I guess the Rock of the 70s stuff would have to be in the middle of the Lost Broadcast stuff. So I don't know, but I never got those DVDs in the late 2000s or 2010-ish, whenever that was, for whatever reason. But now I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna get this. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted on this here and share some thoughts when it arrives. But yeah, the description for this says, this limited edition, only 500 units worldwide, DVD/CD package featuring the legendary early TV broadcasts from 1969 to 1972 of prog rock legends, Yes, all brought together, marking a 1 hour, 33-minute DVD and 75-minute CD companion disc. Owen Carl is chiming in the comments saying that looks like just a repackaging of the previously released Lost TV broadcast. Yeah, it very much is a repackaging that includes the Lost broadcasts, Rock of the 70s, and Sounding Out, but also has them on CD. So to those who already have these or who are content with just the YouTube videos, maybe you won't be as gravitated toward this. But if it's something that you don't have and you don't mind that they're already on YouTube, then maybe it's nice to have. I don't know, but yeah. Let's see. John is asking, what's the website address? Yeah, let me make sure I got it right. Okay, so this would be musicglue.com. And I was browsing on there and was kind of surprised to see a listing for the John Anderson Lost Tapes on there. That was something that was being released in the mid 2000s and never got finished. It only got several, like 7 or 8 CDs in instead of the full 20. And I don't know if these are secondhand copies. I wouldn't be surprised if they are, but that's something I'm kind of investigating, and I guess we'll keep you posted on that. Let's see, Rick DeSarl chiming in saying, is there a meet and greet anymore? Let's see, I don't. I'm looking at the announcement again on Yes World. I don't see a meet and greet listed in the VIP package, so maybe not for the Fragile 2025 tour. Okay, so I see that Alone Same, sorry, All One Same, saying just me, but I'm not into meet and greets, so that's totally fine. or or are you saying um yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so let's see what else I have on this news document thing. So speaking of John Anderson, there was a recent Ultimate Classic Rock article. Um, all one same saying I don't have the cash for meet and greets. Okay, totally fair. But yeah, there's recently this ultimateclassicrock.com article about Genesis and John Anderson. So Steve Hackett was saying in this article that John Anderson kind of had the similar idea that you should have Phil Collins in the band. So I'll go ahead and read what Steve Hackett said in this article. So the idea of having a guy singing behind the kit was an idea that we thought visually could be very difficult, but funnily enough, it was John Anderson who gave us some good advice. I was there at Phil's first wedding to his first wife, and I was meeting John for the first time. He said to me, "Well, Phil's got a great voice. Why don't you make Phil the lead singer and get in another instrument?" I said, "Well, you're absolutely right, and I agree with you." And then Steve Hackett continues to say Phil had sung on the first song he ever wrote for Genesis, which was For Absent Friends, on the Nursery Crime album, and that Phil had also sang on Voyage of the Alkali, which is Steve Hackett's solo album. And so Steve Hackett said, "I told John at the time, yep, I think that's the right thing to do, but the others aren't convinced of that strategy." And that, of course, goes into the story of how Phil ended up, singing the songs, and then everyone was like, "Yeah, all right, yeah, let's have him as a singer." So that's pretty funny that this is yet another story of John Anderson being at a wedding and something happens that's sort of related to the future of a band. Thinking back to that Bill Bruford's wedding, how he was given the book that, John was given the book that would inspire the Tales from Topographic Oceans idea, I guess. Um, let's Yeah, and actually, let me see. I think Bill Bruford has also been adding more stuff to his YouTube channel. I just want to list out some stuff there. And I'm sure John has probably been adding stuff to his YouTube channel as well. Okay, so Bill Bruford. Let's see, Footloose and Fancy Free live. That was 2 weeks ago. And solo spotlight from Indiscipline and Warfield. So that was a month ago. And let me check John Anderson's YouTube channel. Like, there's so much that comes out, and it's all juggling act trying to check out everything. So John Anderson official. Oh, it looks like Perpetual Change. The John Anderson, the Band Geeks Perpetual Change, like the whole 2 hours of that live album, maybe. All right, well, let me mute myself and then check this out. Just wait one sec. Okay, so it looks like this is interesting because when Dad and I reviewed John Anderson and the Band Geeks live Perpetual Change, a prediction I made was that it would eventually be released on John's YouTube channel with the graphics in full and unobscured. The graphics on the video screen unobscured by the band and equipment and whatnot. But it looks like there are some new visuals in this, or maybe there's like some rotoscoping going on. Like maybe there's extra layers put on some of the visuals, but Yeah, there might be some reused stuff, but it looks like there's a lot of new or redone stuff on here. So, huh. Yeah, it looks kind of fantasy, science fiction-y, pyramid, and I think like a spaceship or space glider or something. So it makes me wonder if these visuals are supposed to be reminiscent of of Sun Hilo's story, maybe. I see that Olympia from the animation album's also on there. Chagall Duet, Revealing Sons of God and the Ancient, Time and a Word, And You and I, Madrigals, Mind Drives, Yours is No Disgrace, The More We Live, Let Go, Give Love Each Day, To Be Over, Future Times, the entire animation album. So yeah, some familiar things with some perhaps different visuals on there. But anyway, I think I have just a couple more news items on here. I did see that there is John Lodge, whom we interviewed recently, shared a photo from an April show. So this is a pic by Simon Green from John Lodge's show in Guildford in April. He says, "Thanks to everyone who came out." And yeah, this is a picture that shows John Lodge's band, and you can see John Davison as well. I'll try sharing this real quick. Yeah, just give me a moment. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that this is probably going to go past an hour long, this broadcast. Like, I thought I was going to get done with this quick with how many news items there were, but there's more to say, apparently. But yeah, that's a cool photo there, Vajon's. Let's see. Oh, I see Meadowlander chiming in saying, I ordered John and Geek's live DVD directly from Frontiers record label to get on time, and it arrived 3 months late. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. I ended up ordering the Blu-ray from Amazon, if I remember correctly, and they delivered it, I think, a week or so after whenever I ordered it. But looking at these other items I have here, Tom Brislin posted an upscaled version of a clip of his old band Spiraling performing the song The Concept from the Time Travel Made Easy album release show in 2008. And so he was saying, should I do more of this? Because, the clips aren't in HD. So I guess we'll see if he posts more of those. And he also more recently posted about Kansas. He said, great night on Long Island, New York with Kansas and the Outlaws. Saw some good friends, including Dave Edwards, who recently filled in for Dan on bass, fellow keyboardist Jerry Kowarski, and I met one of my first musical heroes, Al Greenwood, original keyboardist for Foreigner. Foreigner's debut album was one of the first albums I ever heard, and Al's synth work was real inspiration. Class guy too. So yeah, that's really cool. But sorry, I'm trying to figure out like where to find this other news item I was going to talk about. So I mentioned earlier in this broadcast. Oh, I see another thing here. So Claire Hamill, she worked with Steve Howe, I think on the Steve Howe album, if I remember correctly, and we interviewed her way back. A couple weeks ago, she said on her page, the Claire Hamill Band have been very busy in the recording studio working on our new album. I can say we've now recorded the best part of 13 brand new songs. We're now working on vocal and guitar overdubs, hopefully have the album ready for the summer. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. And like I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Tony Levin's birthday was the other day, and his band Stickman, which includes Mal Stellato, also from King Crimson, Mike Reuters. So that trio, they're touring, and I might actually get to see them. I'll get to see them mid-July. They're playing at the Baked Potato 3 nights in a row, so I'll be seeing them one of those nights. But that weekend, I'll also be seeing Project. And let me just show you the graphic for, or I'll just read this. So, Project is the ultimate prog rock experience, performing the classics and epics of Genesis, Yes, King Crimson, ELP, Pink Floyd, Rush, Kansas, UK, Gentle Giant, Jethro Tull, and more. And this features Mike Keneally, Ryo Okamoto, Alessandro Del Vecchio, Pete Griffin, and Jonathan Mover. So there are several West Coast dates. I'm going to see them July 11th in San Pedro. That would be the July 11th would actually be the 4th anniversary of the first Yesshift episode being released. So what a good way to celebrate that, I guess. So I'll be seeing them, and then I'll also be seeing Stickmen that same weekend. So that'll be really cool. And I guess it'll be a matter of, should I do a Steven's Venue Adventures episode talking about both of them, or separate episodes about each one, with a day break in between or something. Like, I don't know. I guess that's something I'll have to decide. But I'm really excited to see those shows in about a month. It's going to be really cool. All right. So I guess that's it for this Yesshift News Desk edition. And I'm sure there will be more news coming out in coming weeks, probably. And we'll be back on this show at some point. I'd have to look at my schedule. But yeah, submit to play for Chris 11 by June 15th. And also keep an eye out for the Tales from Topographic Oceans listening guide by Kevin Mulrine. I think the release date for that changed recently. Let me check his book. Okay, yeah. So I checked the Burning Shed website, and the Tales from Topographic Oceans listening guide is slated to come out June 27th, according to that. So I guess we'll see. And I'll also see if I can get the Chris Squire issue of Prog Magazine, which comes out this Friday in the US. So we've got no shortage of written related materials. But yeah, excited for those. Excited to see Stickmen and Project next month. And also in November, getting to see Yes and Steve Hackett. So very cool, fun stuff to look forward to. And yeah, we'll be back here. I'll have to look at our schedule, see what we have coming up next. But yeah, follow Yesshift on Facebook and YouTube at Yesshift, or write to us via yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com. Any feedback, suggestions, and go to anchor.fm/Yesshift. Okay, Metalander says Prog Mag with Squires available now on Burning Shed. Okay, I saw that it was out of stock, but maybe that was, I don't know. I'll go check and see what I can figure out. I'll try to figure something out. But thanks for tuning in, everyone. Really appreciate having you here so we can share like all this prog stuff that's going on. And we'll see you all soon.